Good morning. I want to first thank Reverend Dion for his powerful message today about service contained in his sermon. It was a perfect message this day during the month of stewardship. I also would be remiss if I did not wish my 26-year-old a happy birthday today. Mary McIntyre is a NICU nurse at Johns Hopkins Hospital. Every day she helps serve God by bringing newborns into the world. Her dedication reminds us of how each of us in our own way can serve as stewards of God's love, using the gifts He's given to care for others. My name is John Poulton, and I have the privilege of serving you as the head of the Stewardship Committee this year. I would like to encourage each of you to participate in the month of stewardship at St. Anne's, where the month is focused on each of us walking in love. By doing so, we are each called to deepen our commitment to serving others. I'm excited to share today that we've received 39 pledges, with 65% of those exceeding pledge amounts from the prior year. This is an incredible testament to the generosity of this parish and our collective commitment to building a stronger, more compassionate church. If you're discerning your pledge, I encourage you to look in the brochures. I thought these were all in the pews, but actually we're running a little low, and they're all in the back of the church. These particular programs provide details on how you can give your treasure, time, and talents, and these forms can either be filed in paper or electronically. Today I also have the pleasure of introducing someone whose joyful sharing of time and talent has greatly enriched St. Anne's, Ginger DeLuca. In her short time as a parishioner, she's had the privilege of witnessing firsthand the dedication and joy with which she serves, particularly through the cemetery ministry. Her work not only honors the past, but serves as a beautiful act of stewardship that touches the present. Ginger, I'm thrilled for you to share your story today, especially how you work in the cemetery mission has helped your experience the abundance of God's gifts. Your example of walking in love is something I know we can all learn from. I encourage all of you to consider how you too can get involved, whether that's joining Ginger in her ministry or exploring one of the many other opportunities at St. Anne's to experience the joy of giving back. Together, we can continue to build a culture of stewardship that reflects the abundance of God's gifts in all we do. Thank you. I look forward to hearing from Ginger and walking this stewardship journey with you all.
Good morning. I'm Ginger DeLuca, and I'm co-chair of the Cemetery Committee along with Linda Adamson. So when I was asked to do this, I was a teacher. I went to the definitive book on where you find what stewardship means, and of course that was Google. And what Google says is Christian stewardship refers to the way time, talents, and material possessions are given for the service of God. It is our responsibility to maintain and use wisely the gifts that God has given us. For me, that is translated into our ending prayer. And now, Father, send us out to do into the world to do the work that you have given us to do. What does that mean for me? I'm lucky enough to have a comfortable retirement. So, of course, I give of my material possessions. I'm also retired, so I'm able to give my time. My talent, I'm not quite sure what that would be, but I do love nature. As the head of the Environmental Committee at one time before it was turned over to Suzanne Weber, and a love of history. I taught history for many, many years. Where could I utilize my two loves here in Annapolis? St. Anne's Cemetery has provided me with a perfect answer to that question. A beautiful but neglected historic cemetery in the heart of Annapolis. A place for me to do the work that God has given me to do. Before COVID, I was spending my time researching the stories of the people who are buried in the cemetery and writing articles for you all for the bulletin and giving tours. And as I put these tours together, I started thinking, have you ever looked at a tombstone? Tombstone has the name of the person. It has the date of birth, it has a dash in between, and then it has the date of death. Have you ever thought about what's the most important part about that whole thing? It's the dash. The dash is the most important part of the date because it is how that person used their short time here on this earth. During COVID, we were all isolated. Nobody knew what it was. Everybody was afraid of how it was caught, but it was bad. I was actually traveling and came home, and the world had changed dramatically. People were looking for toilet paper. They were, afraid of being with other people. I am a people person, and I've got to be outside. So I went to the cemetery and realized there are tons of trees that have been covered with English ivy. They were actually being strangled. So I decided to invite some friends that I knew at St. Anne's to join me with the freeing of the ivy from the trees. I began to invite them every Thursday morning. We could distance from one another and while we worked, but still interact. As time went on, we liberated trees from vines, gardens from weeds, and headstones from lichen. We had become the stewards of God's creation, the cemetery stewards. After COVID, we got more ambitious and cleared a completely neglected part of the cemetery from weeds and vines and turned it into a beautiful garden with the help of the Watershed Stewards Academy, there's that word stewards again, and Unity Gardens. This area is now our newly created scatter garden for ashes. At the same time, we began clearing a more daunting area where gigantic vines were impacting large trees. With the help of Nature Sacred and their landscape architectural team, we put in a garden of remembrance as a memorial to the souls who are buried in our cemetery with no markers to say their names. We're working with the Truth and Reconciliation Ministry to uncover the names and the stories of the people, but especially of the African American ancestors who are buried in our cemetery. The names that we find will be posted on plaques around the garden. It is such a satisfying thing to look and know that we are going in that direction. A much-needed columbarium will connect our two gardens within the next year, hopefully. We are now working on getting every gravestone registered into Find a Grave and giving each stone a GPS coordinate so that they can be easily found. All of this has happened because we have been doing the work that God has given us to do. I'm so very proud of what my little team of cemetery stewards has done over the past 4 years. We have become friends who are connected by a common cause. In conclusion, my dash has included being a mother of 2 wonderful people, a wife to a very special man, and a teacher for 30 years before I retired. I'm pleased that God has chosen to use me to rethink what St. Anne's Cemetery could mean to the city of Annapolis and to honor those who have come before us. We would love to have you join our team, but if you can't, do try to visit the cemetery and see our new Garden of Remembrance. And if you're free this Saturday, I'll be giving a tour at 10 o'clock to tell the stories of some of the people who are buried in our cemetery. And now, Father, send me out to do the work that you have given me to do. Thank you.